jeopardize the entire mission to avoid shooting a beautiful girl.
Not exactly, sir. I had to make a split-second decision. Death to spies.
That was the teaser trailer to the 1987 film The Living Daylights, starring Timothy Dalton. Hello, Vicky here, and welcome to the Bond Room Unlocked, whereby I'll be inviting you to turn the key with me on my 26-year-old Bond collection and The Living Daylights.
Hello, my name's Ken Eagleton, and I'm a fan of The Living Daylights. I think it has wonderful locations, a great espionage-based storyline, fantastic return of Aston Martin, the Aston Martin group, to the James Bond movies, and a really stellar performance by Timothy Dalton.
So after 12 years and 7 Bond films, Roger Moore stepped down from the role at the age of 58. To be honest, I think he would have carried on if it hadn't been down to the comparisons that were being made between his love interests in these films. Moore was thinking about retirement ahead of the 1983 film Octopussy, but his contract was renewed due to the rival film Never Say Never Again, starring the original Bond, Sean Connery. Producers felt that if these two films were to go head-to-head at the cinema, a more established actor needed to be in the role, so Moore signed on for a further 2 years. Now, you're probably wondering where I'm going with this, so just stick with me. Now, Moore labelled A View to a Kill as his least favourite film from his tenure, due to the increased violence within the film. And so, to The Living Daylights. Dark, gritty, a new Bond, a world away from double-take pigeons, Tarzan impressions, clowns and gorilla suits. This was a very different Bond.
Where's Koskov?
He disappeared 2 weeks ago. I was about to have him arrested.
Why?
For misusing state funds.
Involving Whitaker?
That is a security matter and cannot be discussed.
That was damn stupid! Get in the bathroom and lock the door.
Hello, Denise, happy Friday here. Been kindly invited by Victoria to very briefly talk about my favourite Bond film, which happens to be The Living Daylights. From Gibraltar to Afghanistan, I'm riveted to my seat. The PTS for me is the best in the series. Love the Gibraltar scene, and it's a great introduction to Dalton's Bond, Lucky Margot. As much as I love Sir Roger's films, I did welcome the darker, grittier Bond, and I feel Dalton portrayed Fleming's Bond to an absolute T.
Now, in preparation for taking on the role, Dalton delved back into Fleming's literary pages to see how he could transcend the character to the big screen. Imperfect, tarnished, yet human.
I think even Roger Moore felt he was too old to be playing Bond anymore, and Timothy Dalton brought something new and refreshing to the role. And I think the end result is a movie that's really well balanced between espionage and action, with good performances by all actors.
And the devil is definitely in the detail, as Dalton even suggested what his Bond should wear in certain scenes in the film. More casual, more the ordinary man. Now, I will say this, out of all the Bonds in the franchise, no one quite wears beige like Dalton.
to be in that number 10 Ferris Wheel.
The Living Daylights, the 15th entry into the franchise, a dangerous Fleming-envisioned caper that sees Bond confronting and defeating an arms dealer who is conspiring with the Soviets to start another world war. Now I'm going to be honest here, aren't I always, and admit that I prefer Licence to Kill from 1989 to this particular entry. Why? I hear you gasp. Well, 2 reasons. The first one is Bond girl Cara. I get frustrated with this Bond girl. She can play a cello 1 minute, then fly a cargo plane the next. Who can't? I just find her lacklustre and tepid. Now, Denise, I know you really like her. What do you think?
I feel Bond girl Cara is somewhat underappreciated. After all, she does risk life and limb for a man, and I do feel the love between her and Bond feels very authentic, very real, and it doesn't feel like a typical Bond fling to me.
My second issue is the villains. Now, Koskov is, a slimy rogue, and Brad Whitaker, played by Joe Don Baker, is so over the top. I prefer his performance in the 1995 Bond film GoldenEye. I just feel that these villains are less memorable and maybe should have been given perhaps more screen time to flesh the characters out a bit more. That being said, I adore John Rhys-Davies as General Pushkin and Necros as the milk bottle wielding henchman, who certainly gets the boot.
For me, it's better than Licence to Kill. Of the 2 films Dalton made, I like this one more. It really does feel like a classic Bond movie, whereas I felt the follow-up Licence to Kill felt more like an 80s action film in the Die Hard style.
Isn't it great how we all have different opinions? No one is right, no one is wrong. And regarding Licence to Kill, that just isn't a conventional Bond film. And if any of you want to delve into that film in more depth, please check out episode 15 on this channel. So back to the Living Daylights. Now I have a piece of memorabilia here from 1987, and I must admit there isn't an abundance of items out there for the film. What it is an 80s audio cassette of the film, complete with a 24-page colour booklet. So there you've got your tape there and the booklet, and it cost £2.49. Crikey, you'd never get anything for £2.49 now, memorabilia wise, that's for sure. On the reverse of the product you have stills from the film, and you also get a list of different cassettes for different films. Howard the Duck, Top Gun, An American Tail. So yeah, it's an interesting piece of memorabilia, to be honest. And these were really, really popular in the 1980s, and you could get them for all sorts of TV programmes and films. As I say, you'd play the tape and you'd follow along with the booklet, and then, as it states there, there'd be a beep which would tell you then to turn the page so you didn't lose your place. Now the Rainbow Group, there's very, very little about this group now on the internet, and back in the day they were really popular. They held 40% of the market in these particular products. Now, did any of you have one of these, or do you have one still, or have you got a different film or TV programme that you've still got in your possession, please let me know in the comment box after the video. So whether you're listening to an audiobook or watching The Living Daylights on your DVD or Blu-ray players, let's get some final thoughts on the film. Denise?
Anyway, so The Living Daylights, is it the best? Well, of course, that's always debatable, but in the words of Mr. Wint, it's certainly my piece de resistance.
And what about you, Ken?
So, Living Daylights, for me, is a great all-round Bond film. It is so packed with action that the pace never stops. The music score is absolutely fantastic, for all those problems between John Barry and Aha apparently collaborating to do this. The end result is still marvellous. It's a wonderful soundtrack and one of my favourite Bond soundtrack CDs. So The Living Daylights for me is right up there in my top 5, and I think it's a great movie.
So the purpose of this channel is to take the items in this Bond room and relate them to the films that we know and love. If you have enjoyed this brief look at The Living Daylights, then please give it an MI6 stamp of approval and click on the notifications below. Why not subscribe so you can stay in the loop too? You can also find me on Facebook and on Instagram, and catch me co-hosting on SpyMovieNavigator.com, cracking the code of spy movies with Tom Pizzato and Dan Silvestri. I'd also like to thank Denise and Ken for their valued input on today's video.
Thanks again, Victoria. See you soon. Bye bye.
Thanks very much to the Bond Room Unlocked.
I want to thank everyone who is supporting this channel and everyone who has joined me on the Bond Room Unlocked thus far as we head towards the 20th episode. I'm going to leave you with one final image. See you next week.